So the goal today is to try to engage more of your learners within your organization and try to see how you can, take all the benefits from the MOOC era inside your organization and to understand what you can expect and which goals you can reach with a corporate MOOC. Before we start, I would like to share a few information about myself. My name is Xavier Sillon. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Vodeclic. I've been working around the training experience and the digital divide for 15 years. Vodeclic is a few words about it. It's a company headquartered in France, so maybe our friends from French Canada will hear my French accent. So we are headquartered in France and with an office in New York City in the US. Vodeclic is an enterprise learning solution for desktop and collaborative skills. Our goal is to make sure that we help you guys maintain and grow the digital skills of your workforce. So we provide an online solution in the cloud with a huge library on 300 plus softwares. We can help you on an international global scale with a 6-language wide solution, including analytics and management features, for sure integration into your LMS if you have one. And we have built also great APIs to make sure we can integrate our solution within your IT or HRIS systems. One last thing important, we've been listed in the Deloitte Technology Fast 500 in the EMEA zone for 2014, and we are almost in the top 100. And even more, we are in the one of the fastest growing company headquartered in France, but now we want to reach global. This is why we have set operation in the US. Before we start, just a few words about cloud computing. I mean, it's something important because learning and technology is something that really goes together, and even more for MOOCs. And there's a quote I like to share with all the customers that I see in the marketplace, with all the learning managers, the IT managers. It's something important. With cloud computing, client is king, but the king is the user. So when I see the registrant list and the attendee list, I see most of you are in the learning environment, N&D position, talent management, and training and consulting. It's important that you are the client. You are the people that make the investments. You are the one that are choosing a technology or solution or a content. But with this technology, with the cloud, with everything we will share together during this hour, 45 minutes plus the 15-minute Q&A at the end, is that the real user, the real king is the user. And the user within an organization, it's your employee. So I believe you are all, being challenged with the digital transformation. And digital transformation is something about business, it's something about customers. But if you think a second of who is a customer, we all are customers. So at one moment, the question is the digital transformation of your learning strategy and how you're going to be able to use those technology within the digital transformation. So at one moment, your customer is your employee, and this is why he is the king. So let's take a look of what I believe is a new era in technology and why it has an impact of the way people are learning. And this is why I believe MOOC in the corporate landscape is gaining a huge traction. I share with you which is just a frequency, a quite long-term frequency, which is how fast technology has been changing during the last 20 years. If I take an example, which is our business for sure, but it's a clear example. Many times organizations are calling us because they want to improve the skills of their digital skills of their employee. And the reason why is because they are shifting from an older solution of Microsoft Office, for instance, to a new one. But this shift is made on a, I would say, 5 to 6 or even 7-year period. And this is what this frequency line is showing you. But with cloud, the frequency is going much faster. And this is a main game changer within technology. 10 years ago, technology was changing every 5 years. Now you have a new iPhone every year. You got a new version of Office, not every year, but it's gonna come as fast as every year. You have a new version or a new design or a new layout or a new user experience very quickly on some online services like Twitter or LinkedIn, and then you have many new tools that just arrived in the marketplace. So if you take a look at the technologic environment of your workforce, it was quite simple to train these people on a technology standpoint. So you understood that my point is to share with you my vision, my belief, and the concept of a corporate MOOC within our industry. And our industry is the learning for digital skills. So 5 to 10 years ago, and I believe it's not possible anymore right now, to train your staff, it was quite simple. It was like a monolith. One PC, one Windows, one Microsoft Office. And all your employees, whether you work at, I see as the attendees, we get large organization in the banking, in the retail, in the leisure, etc., or you work in a smaller organization. The landscape, the technologic landscape of the desktop application that your staff is using has shifted. Before it was simple. Everybody has a PC, Windows, and Microsoft Office. But now they have something that is like a mosaic. There are great colors. I should have done an animated GIF to show you that. What it's just saying is that before you knew what your staff was using, now you don't know anymore. So there are so many different devices, operating systems, or online services, or softwares that are you still in a situation where you can just believe the needs or understand the needs of your employee? I believe it's not the case anymore. So this is a reason why you have to change the way you can, improve the skills from a digital standpoint of your employee. And this is one of the way to do it is to go on a kind of MOOC way to do so. So we will share things about it. So if I wrap up this new era in technology, just few things. You already have in your organization 3 generations of users since the early adopters. Remember, desktop application, arrived in the business in the late 80s. So it's almost 25, 30 years ago. It's huge. So you have 3 generations of users. So for sure, we're going to talk a little more about the millennials that have some needs, some behaviors that are different versus the first generation of users. You have a rapid expansion of cloud software use. So more and more people are using cloud software only, which is maybe not the case within your organization, but from a personal standpoint, it's something that is the case. So this is why IT consumerization, which means that in my job on a day-to-day basis, on the job, I am using some personal tools because I have more performance. I'm more productive. I match and I reach my goals easier with my personal tools than the one that are provided by my organization. One fourth thing is the growth of those applications. So 20 years ago, Microsoft Office was including 3 softwares. Now Microsoft Office is including almost 8 software, including OneDrive, including Yammer, including SharePoint, including Skype for Business, etc., etc. And also there is, on the planet, 3 billion connected people. So if you are a learning manager for global worldwide companies with dozens of thousands of employees, it just means that you have connected staff anywhere in the world, in South America, in Asia, in Africa, in North Europe, in Europe, in Russia, etc., etc. So those 3 billion people connected. It's important to share who are they, and in fact, how can we consider, or let me say it in another way, what is a connected learner? So there are many ways, but I wanted to have a focus on his personal behavior and feelings, and and how he is in his as a person. The first thing is we are, and I include myself in that, and I include you in this description of a connected learner. We are all overwhelmed. Business is more difficult now than 30 years ago. I mean, talk to your elder, and we'll all share the same things. So we are more and more overwhelmed, and technology has an impact on that because we can do things so much faster that we do more. This is why we are also restless. Things are changing and changing and changing. I mean, we can't rest, but also it generates what I call a volatile behavior. As I can do things so fast, I just take my mobile phone, which is a computer now, uh, uh, and I can do anything I want. So I'm very volatile. I start to do something and then I do something else, etc., etc., etc. I'm not saying here it's good or bad. It's just a reality of our behavior. And the behavior, regarding a learner, it's exactly the same thing for a gamer. Who really is able now to believe, 5 years ago, or maybe 4 years ago, where games on the iPhone, arrive on the marketplace like Angry Birds or Candy Crush or Clash of Clans. It's the same thing. It's still game. You take your mobile from your pocket and you start to play. But 5 years ago, a game was something that was, that cost $60, and you have to pay a PlayStation or an Xbox and to play on your TV. Now you play alone, very on a selfish way, on an autonomous way. You play on your side. It's the same thing for learning. So learners now, connected learners are mobile. Mobile that doesn't mean that it's not a question of technology and device. It's a question of wherever they are, whatever they do, they are in a position to do something, and in our case, to learn. And the last thing is autonomous. I mean, people want to do what they want. And with technologies, they are able to do that. So if you share, and I believe you do, and for sure, if you don't, you can ask questions using the GoToWebinar panel that you have on your screen, where you can ask questions. I would ask you, if you have a question or believe you have one right now, just to type it, and I will answer it at the end of the webinar. So how to address now this connected learner? I believe one way with a bottom-up user-centric solution. You need to give the keys, with the hands-on for the user. So the user, your staff, your employee, your workforce is looking for training on the subject that interests them. So if I'm a learner if I want to learn something in the digital environment, I'm the only one that knows, what I want to learn. I'm the only one. My boss don't know. My learning manager, in the division or in the business unit or in the offices that I work, doesn't know about it. I mean, so it is something really important to move from a top-down way, and I think the MOOC is an answer to that. It's not to work from a top-down. I'm your manager. I know what you need. I know what you expect, but to work from a bottom-up and a user-centric solution. So I'm able to go through a learning process on the topics that interest me, and at my own pace, and when I need it. So when I need it, if the solution that I'm using is only working on a PC with Internet Explorer as a browser, I mean, if I need it when I have an Android tablet, it won't work. So in this case, you miss something regarding the behaviors of your connected learner, and this is why I believe that all this technology, if you mix, and you put side by side what's a connected learner right now? And Bursin, for instance, Bursin by Deloitte in a recent, infographic was, mentioning what he calls a modern learner. So I'm sure we all share this information, but if you put side by side who is, sorry, a connected learner, and then you put it on the side with how has technology moved those last year, and how is it going to move again and again and again and again, in a recursive way with endless, this is why if you take these two pieces, you can see that we can take all the good things from the MOOC era on the education side and shift them to the corporate environment. Let me use a quote, in a recent study from Bursin by Deloitte. He's mentioning something really important. I'm trying with this second part of this webinar to make a kind of mirror between MOOC and my personal standpoint is MOOC, cook, or whatever. It's a question of marketing. My point here is to say that in fact we should not call a corporate MOOC. We should call it a MOOC. Okay, just because if you set whether some content, whether some technology, whether some offers to your workforce from a global standpoint, massive, open to all your employees, for sure it's online and we are talking about training, then it's a MOOC. And I believe you should, like I do, leave on the side the question about, is MOOC made for education? Is MOOC free or whatever? I think we don't care, because at one moment, none of your employees are paying for your training. It's your job as a learning manager to implement some solution matching the business strategy of your organization to make sure all your employees are able to achieve their goals. So world-class branded university with highly specialized content unlocked from the high price created by university pricing. So if I summarize that, it just says that university in the US costs so much, it costs too much, that hundreds, thousands, millions of potential students can't afford it. And doing it online is a way to unlock this issue. Can I make the shift of this quote to the corporate landscape? Okay. If we take an instructor-led way to train people, it costs a lot of money for one person. So at the end of the day, I believe that none of your organization are only doing ITL, but let's imagine there is only one that is doing it. At the end of the year, 2, 3, 4% of the organization will access a training because it costs too much. So the issue of the pricing for the university, if you compare it to the corporate learning, is exactly the same. How to train more people with less investment. Okay, but it's your choice. In the education, it's a choice of a student that want to learn something, to get a better job, to get a better life in the future, etc., etc. So this is why I asked you a question, in fact. Higher ed MOOC versus corporate MOOC. I mean, a cost-effective solution for whom? Okay, so if you can follow some courses with Coursera, edX, or whoever, for free, well, at the end of the day, in an organization, all of our customers that are using our solution, their employees are using our solution for free. So the question of pricing, and cost effective, it depends who we are talking to. For whom? The student, which is in fact is the user. Remember, the user is a king, and the user for you in your organization is your employee. Let's talk now about the user engagement. I'm sure you've read all the studies, in the past and the one that we have now regarding the fact that the user engagement, and the completion of the courses, MOOC courses, are low. So is this a problem or a challenge? I think for the higher ed MOOC, it's a problem, because in fact, people were believing that because it was free, so affordable for them, they would have to do it. But then maybe they don't have enough, ambition. They don't have enough time. They are not enough interested, and they just chosen to do that because it was for free. So the user engagement is a problem that in the higher ed MOOC, the solution provider have to fix. Probably one way to fix it is to say, why don't you pay for a badge, for a certification, or whatever? Okay, but if we take a look at the user engagement in the corporate training, it's a challenge. It's not a problem, because most of you have decided to move a part of your learning investment from ITL to e-learning. And e-learning is supposed to help you have a bigger, I would say, user engagement, which in this case means more people using your technology. So if you decide to build a MOOC for your organization, so MOOC will mean then you want to open a course to all your employees. It's going to help you to increase the user engagement that is also pretty poor when we're talking about old-fashioned, e-learning. So shifting from education at the university that costs too much to online generate a problem for the solution provider of user engagement, and for you in the workspace, in the corporate environment, shifting from the old-fashioned e-learning to MOOC is a challenge. It's an opportunity for you to have more user engagement. And corporate MOOC traction, is getting more important. Is it a short or long-term story? That's a real question. I mean, I think I quote this information later in this webinar. I think Bursin by Deloitte, I think it's Josh Bursin personally, but I'm not sure, believes that in his prediction for 2015 that the corporate MOOC is one of the key things. It's going to boom in 2015. I believe it's not going to boom only in 2015. I believe it's going to boom on a much longer period, and I will share some additional information in the next slides. So let me share now with you another quote from Alan Ruby, so somebody that has a great vision about MOOC from the University of Pennsylvania. So when people are using a MOOC to upgrade their knowledge on something specific for their industry, the completion rate is much better. I think this is everything about the user engagement topic we discussed right before. If you really know what you can achieve on the learning process you're about to start, for sure your completion rate and your user engagement will be much higher. So you can start a MOOC because it's free, but to go all the way down the road to complete it because you know what you want to achieve after that, it's something complicated. So if you provide some e-learning solutions or a corporate MOOC, and at the end of the day, we have to share if there are any difference. And I think there are some difference, but the main one is about the offer. If you want to set something, and I will take an example in the industry we're talking, we are involved in the desktop application training. If you provide a solution that matches the needs of each one of your employee, so if you have 60,000 worldwide or 200 in the US, etc., it's the same thing. If you have a solution that matches their needs, their specific needs, you will have a greater user engagement. This is why I believe that, and it is one of the 5 tips I will share with you at the end of this webinar. This is why I believe that, at least for the desktop or the digital skills, you need to open your courses to all your employees, because they know when they need it, and I believe you don't know when they need it. So why is corporate MOOC gaining traction? Well, I think the first thing is, let's go back to what we said earlier in this conversation. It's because you have some connected learners, and the connected learners, they have some specific behaviors. They don't have time, they're restless, etc., etc. They're autonomous. So you need to provide them the keys of their success and their performance. The other thing is a kind of long-term story. Instructor-led, then old-fashioned e-learning, then digital learning, then MOOC. All this is a process of innovation within an organization where technology has been improving those last year so fast, and it will keep improving. Now that you are in a position where I think it's you have a much better or bigger return on investment to ensure that you open a kind of overall global learning library. We could imagine that, and we have some figures about that, but we could imagine that it's an online corporate university. And on an online corporate university, I think the best thing to do is to make sure that if any of your employee needs something, he has a solution. So it's a MOOC is in the corporate landscape is a totally different way to build a learning strategy. It's just like when you want to turn on the light, you don't have to call your electricity provider to make sure it works, because you have decided to pay a subscription on a monthly basis to have the the lights and the heat in your house. It's the same thing for learning, and MOOC can provide that because it's massive, massive from a content standpoint. It's open from a global standpoint for all your employees. It's online, and we're talking about learning. The third thing is that the millennials, arise as a new workforce. So in 10 years, what will we be able to say? More and more of your new employees went through online education. So what are you going to say to these guys, to these people, when they start to work with you and they want to have access to something, or they want to have a training? You're going to tell them, well, we do ITL. You have to wait weeks or months to have a course, and you will go there, etc., etc. You won't match the needs of these people. So competition is tough, and competition to hire talented people, whatever their responsibility, whatever their level, whatever their employment. I mean, there is a competition to hire the best. So if you want to hire the best, and the best are connected learners, are millennials, then you're in trouble if you don't shift from ITL to MOOC. As I said earlier, in the prediction 2015 from Bersin by Deloitte, it's one of the biggest trends in corporate learning, and I actually believe it's the case, but not only in 2015. It's something on a long-term basis. Now I want to share with you something more from a concept standpoint. There is a great guy called Marshall McLuhan. I don't know if you're familiar with this guy, that in the mid-60s had a great quote about the medium is the message. And it's in a book. You have the information below this quote, and it just says that what the message, what does it say? I propose that the medium itself, not the content it carries, should be the focus of study. So I want to take this quote and put it in the learning landscape. If you decide to shift, whether from ITL or old-fashioned e-learning, to MOOC, whatever the content you're going to carry, the media, and the media in this case is the MOOC, is a message by itself regarding where and what you want to achieve as a learning manager in your organization, how you believe you can improve your organization. Let me take an example with one of our customers. It's a privately family-held construction company, more than a century old, with 1,200 employees. They decided to shift from an old version of Microsoft Office to Microsoft Office 365 plus their corporate social network called Yammer. They had never done in the past online learning. They decided to use our solution because our offer, and what I'm saying offer here, I could take this example from a content standpoint or from a technology standpoint, but our offer is to say we are going to open an access to all of those 1,200 employees. And why have they chosen our solution instead of doing instructor-led process? Is just because they believed that moving the company from an old-fashioned on-premise Microsoft Office version to the new trendy cloud-based one, Office 365, plus implementing a corporate social network, you need to provide a learning message that is as disruptive as the technology they have chosen for the desktop application. So choosing Vodeclic as a massive, all their employee, open online courses, choosing a MOOC is a message by itself. And this is something I believe you have to include in your vision. So if you've never set or implement a corporate MOOC, there are a few things that I will share and 5 tips on how to start. And I have a couple slides on these things. So before that, I wanted to share some statistics that we picked from one of our previous webinar, which was dedicated to the digital skills gap and how can you refuse is your workforce. And if you just browse our website vodeclic.com, you will be able to download whether the white paper that we have done about digital skills gap and the webinar that we've done on this topic. And at this moment, we decided to share a poll with all these attendees and ask them that just very simply, what are their biggest challenge for corporate training? And 52% of the answers were train more with less. So there are some budget, and fund reason behind that for sure. But the question, the real thing is important. 52% of these people believe that with something open to everybody online, because this is what was my proposal before the poll was made, you can train a lot more people on a different way, spending less money. And as you can see, the two other top answers are digital transformation, key things, and it's key for you to understand that you have a huge role in this digital transformation, because it's not only a question of sales and customers and operation. Is how are you in your learning strategy? How are you going to shift and use those new digital tools? And the third one is about digital corporate university. And I'm sure And as I see again the attendees, in large company, they do have corporate university. It's great, probably beautiful in an area, and in the US, etc., etc. But when you're working with a global, worldwide company based in the US, but you're working in Germany, you're working in India, etc., you don't have access to this corporate university. But if you build one from a digital standpoint, then you shift and you move from an era where only the people in the US were able to access those content, and all the employee can access it. And for instance, this is exactly what we have integrate with one of our biggest customer. I'm talking here about L'Oreal, the number one worldwide leader in cosmetics, with beautiful brands such as Skills and etc. etc. And Jimmy Maybelline. They have built a global a portal with all the learning verticals that they are expecting. So they have some inside learning, inside their own training course on the culture of the company, the ethic and the brands, etc., etc. And then several content providers such as Vodeclic and some others. And their choice, their strategy is to open this solution to all their employees. So they have chosen on a global scale to work with Vodeclic for digital skills to make sure that any of their employees in Asia, in Europe, in Africa, in North America, in South America, in Australia, etc., any of their staff are able to access a learning, information, a learning module or whatever, whenever they want to access it. So let me share with you 5 tips to start a MOOC in the corporate landscape. First, and this is something very important, choose a broad topic. I mean, choose something where you are able to get in touch with the broadest range of people. So if you start a MOOC for only few people, for instance, managers, well, a company, an organization, a corporation is like a pyramid. So you have fewer managers that you have other type of employees. So one way to do that, and it's something that I say every day that my sales team here in the US or in France are saying to our potential customer and our customers, is one way to start a MOOC on a global basis is to start on digital skills. Why is that? It's because all businesses, all industries now are almost 100% connected. Even in the retail, logistics, travel landscape, etc., etc., more and more people are, connected right now. So if you can deliver as the MOOC is the message, a solution to all your employees, then you shift your company to a new era of learning, and then you're able to get in touch and get some user engagement from most of your employees because they have an interest to build their digital skills at a level they don't have today. Let me share with you also, it's another white paper that we've done in the past. Just remember that almost 50% of the workers believe that they don't feel confident using technology on a day-to-day basis. 1 out of 2. Can you imagine the cost for your organization? Second thing is to give everyone access to training. I think when we're talking about MOOC, it's quite simple to say this, but it's a question of offer. If I take it on my side for Vodeclic, since the beginning, one of the disruption that we have brought to the marketplace is to say, you're a company For instance, we work with Rexel, one of the number one in the world in electricity distribution. They have 36,000 employees worldwide, 400 and 500, 4,500 in France, 8,000 in Europe, 12,000 in the US, etc., etc. They have decided to work with us. It's a French team that has, dealt with this company. We started with 110 people within their organization, and then we shift to the 4,500, just because they want all their employee to access to those content, because it's part of their digital strategy and digital transformation. So if you decide to work with a solution provider or whoever that has the content you're looking for, that has the technology to provide you a MOOC, but if their business offer at the end of the day is not, I open it to all your employee, then maybe from a content and technology and feature standpoint, it's a MOOC, but I don't really believe it's one. So if you have to pay for any single user that is connected, etc., etc., I think that you're not going in the appropriate way to start a MOOC. Third thing, it's a way to do it, but it's also a goal that you need to achieve, is to promote employee self-reliance. I mean, it's another way to say a shift from a top-down behavior to a bottom-up solution, to make sure that each employee will be owning his future, and he has hands-on to do a better job on a day-to-day basis. The fourth thing is to involve the IT department. I think this is something really important. We all know, the IT in the past have been people, spending money in investments, to buy some devices and some storage facilities, etc., etc. And in the HR environment, we are for sure more involved, on human resources, on people, on job description, on how we're gonna, work all this. But I think that one of the success of or going beyond the buzz of MOOC, and really, beside the buzz, start to see how you can implement it within your organization. It for sure, one way to do that is to involve the IT department, because integration into your systems is something really key. And I believe that SCORM, for instance, is not the most appropriate way to implement a MOOC. So this means that you will need to do it, maybe with the Active Directory from Microsoft, maybe in Google Apps, maybe in Salesforce, etc., etc. So to do a great job on that, you need to involve the IT department. And the last thing is, Vodeclic is a startup, so trust startups, because you have at one moment to ask yourself a question. In the past, large instructor-led organizations decide to offer and to launch their e-learning services. But what were they doing? They were just doing instructor-led online, which to me is not even e-learning. But now you have also some old-fashioned e-learning providers that are, seeing the MOOC for them as an opportunity, but they have a technology, they have a business offer, they have a pricing that doesn't match what is in fact the potentials of the MOOC. So this is why I believe when there is a disruption, when there is a new thing in the marketplace, you need to trust people that has been involved in this revolution. So I was having a look the other day, on when, the MOOC word, the wording arrived in the marketplace. It was in late 28, so just 6 years ago. Well, Vodeclic offer was already in the marketplace. We already had this vision to say, for digital skills, everyone has to access the content because everyone has something to learn on a day-to-day basis, and technology are changing so fast that when you believe you have the skills to do your job, in fact, you're already underskilled. This is why before we start the Q&A, I want to share with you just a last quote that I use anytime. Anytime I see a customer, I just got it. I mean, from your company's performance, your company's performance is dependent on desktop application training being available to everyone, and not just to those who ask for it, to those who ask for it. And a corporate MOOC, and it's the last time I'm saying corporate, because I believe the question is MOOC, okay? And this is what exactly MOOC is about. It is just asking you, do you want to stay in a world where you wait your employee to ask for some training, or you believe that your role is to set a solution to ensure that anytime, anyhow, anywhere an employee has a need, he will have a solution. And I believe that's the question that you have to solve and to answer regarding MOOC. I told you 45 minutes. I've done, as I see my, chrono. I matched those timing. So let's go through the question. Do not hesitate to use the sidebar and the panel of okay, we got several questions. You can go. Okay, we got a question. I think it's a semantic question regarding the MOOC and cook. Cook is a way to say corporate online open courses. I believe this is, as I said earlier, it's only a question of marketing. So I believe a MOOC is just doesn't mean we're talking about education nor about corporate training. It just means what it says. Massive, it means lots of content, open to all your employees. And I believe social learning, is not included in the O of open. Online courses. So cook or MOOC to me is exactly the same thing. I don't believe in that. It's too much a question of marketing. So this is why I started the webinar with corporate MOOC, and at the end of the day, at the end of the webinar, just sharing with you only MOOC is enough. There's a question, what's the difference between an LMS with social learning capability and a MOOC? It's a good question, and there are several ways to answer it. And I want to answer it from an offer standpoint. You can have an LMS with social learning capability, okay? But it's not because you have that the deal you have with your content provider makes your the content available to all your workforce. So in fact, that's the first thing. The second thing is about the content. Is the content massive? Is the content global? I mean, if it is one course of 45 minutes open to few people within your organization through your LMS, and the few people that access it can share some things through social learning features, I don't believe it's a MOOC. So it's a question for you also, is if you believe it is a MOOC, then why not? But the question is not about technology. An LMS is a technology, social learning capability is a feature, a MOOC is a concept, is if you want to do a MOOC with an LMS with social learning capability, you can do it, but then you need to make sure that your strategy with those courses are open to all your employees. So if the deal you have with a solution provider, you pay them from an effective user standpoint or per courses, you are probably wondering yourself, wow, how am I going to pay that? It's gonna cost me a huge amount of money. So the real question is about the offer. And on the other hand, if the content you're delivering, has been built in-house, then it's different from a cost standpoint because you have built the content. But LMS is something, MOOC is something totally different. So I hope I've answered and provide you some interesting point. And if it's not the case, you can ask another question and we will follow on this one. Okay, we have a question about the evolution of the desktop application in the cloud. Okay, let me wrap up this question. It's about how an organization can use the cloud-based solution to move forward on a global scale. Well, I think the answer is almost in the question. Let me put it this way. You are a learning manager and you have global responsibilities worldwide, but you are based in the US. 50% of your staff is in the US, 50% of your staff is outside the US in non-US speaking countries. I've been working in such companies personally. So what was happening? I was in France at this moment. We were able to have some training, but they were in English. There is no way you can improve the level of performance of your employee in Germany when you're based in the US if you don't provide them courses in German. And this is where cloud, from a digital skill standpoint, is something really new. Because in the few years, your organization will have shift to a desktop application, on-premise, installed on your PC, to a cloud-based one. So for the first time, your staff in the US and your staff outside the US, anywhere in the world, will be using exactly the same technology. And at this moment, you're in a position to provide a solution, a course, a MOOC, to ensure that all your employees can access the same level of information, the same level of training at their own pace, because it's globally open to all your employees. Well, the person that asked the question about the LMS with social learning is answering me. Thank you. Well, thank you. Thank you also for your question. Okay, I'm gonna pick a last one, and then because it's 4 to 2 p.m. Eastern time, and I don't want to take too much of your time. Okay, which one am I gonna pick? Pricing. Okay, we have another one. We have a group LMS system that oversees formal learning for all employees, 13 company. Okay. Okay. My problem is the silo mentality that claims ownership of learning. That's well, I share with you that's a big problem, and I'm not. I think there is an opportunity with a MOOC to cut this silo mentality and try to delayer the way your organization is set. But saying this, probably is your learning organization by silo is made like that because it's the overall culture of your company. So I think launching a MOOC is something interesting. I'm going to share with you an example of a company in the we are working with in the real estate environment, which is in fact 3 different companies. They were having, I believe they have, succeed in partially fixing it. I believe they were facing issues because they were not having one single, culture, organization, but 3 different. So they have decided to launch a plan to make sure that they were able to cut this silo mentality. I mean, oh no, we're maybe working together, but you are from another company and we don't want to mix things, etc., etc. One way to do it, and this is why they have chosen to work with us. But it's slightly different because in your case, Ken, your company is using several LMS, as I understand. But in the business case I'm talking about, one way to build one unique culture is to take the problem from a digital standpoint and to offer to all the employee of the 3 different subsidiaries to have access to one single online course. And why were they able to do that? Because their decision was to choose one and only one for the 3 subsidiary desktop application solution that was Office 365. So maybe there is something that you could do is to get in touch with the IT people and to try to see where they want to go from a technical standpoint. And I believe that at one moment they will go in a full cloud solution, and probably it will be an opportunity to lay down those silos and try to change the mentality within your organization. Well, I'm going to thank you now. I think we spent a great hour together. I'm very happy, we got dozens of almost 50 attendees today. I'm very happy about that. I think we had some great question. Keep in touch with us. We will have some more webinar. We have some great white papers that will be able to be downloaded within the next week. One regarding the digital transformation, which is something huge, and digital transformation of what you can do for your employee and how can you change your way to work and how to implement for learning people the digital transformation. And we will propose another one shortly about something we are really, really great on, because it's almost something that I'm not saying that we have invented that, but we're going to share with you all our know-how about micro-learning, because as I said, we propose one of the biggest library in the desktop application training, and what probably beside the leading company in desktop application training that you all know, we have a library matching 6 languages for a global reach for all your employees worldwide. So if you are at this webinar from Europe, do not hesitate to call our headquarters in France. You have the information on our website, and if you are based in the US or Canada, call us at our New York City office, 646-741-0200. Send us an email. You can write to me directly, or us.sales@vodeclic.com. I was really happy to spend this time with you. We'll talk to you later. Thank you. Bye-bye.